My name is Margaret Wood. This is for my Journalism 102 class. I am here with Anthony Hughes. He will be an Ole Miss graduate this year, and we're going to talk a little bit about the job market and what makes him unique. So tell me a little bit about your experience at Ole Miss.
Well, I've had pretty much the general college experience at Ole Miss. I graduated high school in 2010. I applied to many colleges, and Ole Miss was one of the ones I was accepted to. I was pumped. I had been to Ole Miss on a on-campus visit. I fell in love with the campus.